Welcome to Unit 3, Lesson 6, Trapezoids and Kites. Now we're going to talk about some more quadrilaterals. Okay, this is a trapezoid. Trapezoid is a special type of quadrilateral. It's defined by having at least one pair of parallel sides. So you only need one pair. Now what type of implication does that make for our other quadrilaterals we've talked about in previous lessons? The parallelogram, the rectangle, the rhombus, and the square. That means that they are all trapezoids. So, to break down the pieces of the trapezoid, first thing you need to look at are the bases. The bases are what is parallel. The legs are the two sides that are not parallel. And then in the inside you have these two pairs of base angles. You have this lower pair and this upper pair of base angles. Those are the parts of a trapezoid. Now we're going to talk about a specific type of trapezoid, the isosceles trapezoid. And a trapezoid is isosceles if its legs are congruent. So you see here, it's been indicated that these two legs are congruent. In an isosceles trapezoid, the diagonals are congruent. So if we draw in diagonals, isosceles trapezoid, they are congruent. Now we have a theorem. If a trapezoid is isosceles, so the white part is what we are assuming. We assume if the trapezoid is isosceles, then the red part is the conclusion we make. Then each pair of base angles is congruent. So if we see a trapezoid that's isosceles, then we know that each pair of base angles are congruent. If we see that a trapezoid has a pair of congruent base angles, so again the white part is our assumption, we assume that we have congruent base angles, then we can say it's isosceles. These two theorems are reverses of each other, kind of like with our rhombus, rectangle, and square corollaries. Now let's talk about the midsegments of a trapezoid. A midsegment connects the midpoint of the legs. So this right here is our midsegment. It's connecting the midpoint of our two legs. The midsegment is parallel to both bases. To find the length of the midsegment, what we do is we add our two bases together and then divide them by 2. So our midsegment length is the average of our bases. Finally, we're going to talk about kites. Start over here on the left with the definition. A kite is described as this picture. It has two pairs of adjacent sides that are congruent. So here, 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 and here. As well as where these two pairs meet, right here, those angles are also congruent. Properties of the kite are that the diagonals are perpendicular and that where the intersection occurs, one of those diagonals are bisected. So a kite has two pairs of adjacent sides that are congruent, and the angles where those pairs meet are also congruent. And then the properties it has are that the diagonals are perpendicular, and at that intersection, it bisects one of the diagonals.